TV's W5.
When I hear
A Canadian icon of talent, passion, and song.
Celine Dion was a real game changer.
She provided the rocket fuel for this city.
Struck silent by a rare condition.
Appelé en anglais stiff person syndrome.
It is very rare for someone to be fully cured.
As millions of fans wait and hope.
There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about her.
I'm still praying for a miracle.
Here is Avery Haynes.
Welcome to W5. She is one of the world's best-known musicians, and she's suffering from one of the least-known medical conditions. Celine Dion has a rare and incurable neurological disease that is threatening to silence the Canadian superstar. W5's French sister station Nouveau delves into the mysterious disorder known as stiff person syndrome and what it means for Celine Dion's future.
To understand the void left by Celine's absence, we have to understand the impact that she has had on show business for the past 40 years. I've published articles about her for almost a decade. I followed her during opening nights, on Oprah Winfrey's show, and during tours. I was very close to her and Renee. I had exclusive access into their lives all those years. A year ago, Celine announced terrible news. She was diagnosed with a rare disorder that prevents her from singing. The purpose of this documentary is to clarify some aspects of her absence, which is currently riddled with many false rumors, and also to show the impact of her absence on show business and on the city of Las Vegas, which she has changed forever.
Nothing is given to you. You have to work hard, believe in yourself, and have the right tools to succeed. My parents gave their all to raise her, but she became famous worldwide due to her strong work ethic and her natural talent. You won't be able to find someone as good as her. I hear this every day from many people.
I work with some of the biggest stars in the world, such as Michael Jackson, Pink Floyd, and the Rolling Stones. Celine, our connection was unique. She was like my little sister. I was the marketing and promotions director for Sony. I often worked with Vita Loprano, who was the artistic director, and with Renee. We usually worked as a team. From the beginning, I realized she was very diligent, meticulous, and a hard-working young woman. So I realized there were no limits, and this was going to be the start of a long and wonderful adventure.
We used to provide equipment for concerts, and things started to change tremendously with Celine's arrival. It wasn't arenas that were getting filled, it was stadiums.
Celine is someone who is always on people's minds because of her music. She performs songs like My Heart Will Go On, The Power of Love, and various movie soundtracks. She has lots of #1 hits and albums that have won Grammy Awards.
3 of her albums sold over 30 million copies. This is unheard of. She's the biggest star in the world. Her 1998 World Tour was the biggest tour in history. Can she go any higher? It's almost unthinkable. She's almost at the top, but it will happen. Her impact on Las Vegas was significant, and most of all, unforgettable.
There are numbers to prove it. For example, there was an increase in flights because of Celine Dion. She really made an impact. I noticed that some people in the audience were crying. Others were awestruck as they watched her performance. It always amazed me.
A complete evolution happened to the city from the year 2002 onwards. Money came into the city, and the crowds of Las Vegas changed. Celine was the reason for all these changes.
The public really loved her. People would come just to see her. It was impressive. It was a high-quality performance with style. Everything was synchronized and perfect.
Artists used to end their careers in Las Vegas. They were artists approaching their retirement. When Celine first arrived, people were surprised that she was a young artist who sang cool songs. It was a money-making opportunity.
Nowadays, if an artist performs in Vegas, it's seen as an accomplishment.
Somewhere over the river.
I was at her last show in Vegas. The energy of the room was incredible. She was in a really good mood. I'm really happy that I was able to attend her last show. I consider Celine to be the best.
What Celine was able to accomplish is record-breaking. She performed 200 shows per year with 4,200 spectators each night. And she was able to sell out every performance. That is an incredible feat.
Alexa, play Courage by Celine Dion.
When she made her comeback in 2019 with her album Courage, I think the public was anxious to see if she would succeed, since it was the first album that Renee did not help produce. The world tour was announced in April 2019, and the album was launched in September. She will always attract a huge crowd when she announces a tour. In fact, she didn't do many performances in 2019 and 2020, but she had the highest grossing tour of the year. Concerts were sold out everywhere, even though the album wasn't out yet.
When I hear you breathe, I get weak.
Bonjour, c'est Céline. Eh bien, j'espère que vous me rejoindrez à Las Vegas pour mon tout nouveau spectacle au Resorts World en novembre prochain.
Her return to Vegas made headlines around the world when it was announced because there will always be a link between her and Vegas due to the positive changes she has brought to the city.
Everyone was so full of hope. They were finally going to be returning to Vegas to see Celine again. She was going to perform fewer shows compared to her previous tours, but we would still be able to see her on stage. When I watched the trailer for her new show, she looked as healthy as she was at her last concert. She was wearing a long red dress and high heels. It really made you want to go to Vegas to see her on stage. I had wanted to go to her concert, but I had to wait a very long time to get more details before traveling. And at the last minute, we were told that the show was canceled, as Celine had some health problems.
Good evening, everyone. A Canadian icon whose voice has entertained and enchanted millions around the world made an extraordinary revelation today.
Parce qu'elle souffre d'un trouble neurologique très rare, une maladie handicapante et douloureuse en raison de spasmes musculaires qui l'empêchent, pour l'instant, de chanter.
Stiff person syndrome.
Syndrome de la personne raide.
Nörolojik bir hastalığa.
1/100,000 的
Stiff person syndrome.
Récemment, j'ai été diagnostiquée avec un trouble neurologique très rare, appelé en anglais stiff person syndrome.
I think stiff person syndrome was one of the most searched terms on Google that day.
No one had ever heard of this disorder before. Some people were asking, will she ever sing again? Will she be able to continue with her career?
On ne sait pas encore tout de cette maladie rare, mais on sait maintenant que c'est la cause des spasmes musculaires dont je souffre. Malheureusement, ces spasmes affectent ma vie de tous les jours, à plusieurs niveaux.
Even though we can limit the effects of the disorder with medication, it is very rare for someone to be fully cured. For every million people, one person is diagnosed with this disorder every year.
J'ai parfois beaucoup de difficultés à marcher et je ne peux pas toujours utiliser mes cordes vocales pour chanter comme je le souhaiterais.
Muscle spasms are painful and prolonged spasms in unusual parts of our body. Everyone has cramps in their calves or arms from time to time after exercising. But these spasms occur in the abdominal, dorsal, or even thoracic muscles. These are more painful spasms that occur in uncommon areas of the body. They are spasms that incapacitate people and prevent them from doing anything.
When we come back, a rare affliction with a terrible toll.
It's a disorder that takes over your life.
When W5 continues.
If this is bankruptcy, where do I sign up?
Flaunting eye-watering wealth.
I don't know how he's making the money.
Leaving investors broke.
Fraud alters people's lives.
W5 exposes.
You could face jail time today.
A web of fast money.
The yachts and the boats and the cars.
Victims and insiders.
These people have lost life savings.
Demanding justice. An all-new W5 with Avery Haynes. Next Saturday at 7 on CTV.
I used to fall down frequently. I would do marathons, triathlons, scuba dive, and do many other sports. And I would fall frequently without any explanation. I also noticed that I handled stressful moments differently. I would always become stiff, and my pelvis was becoming more rigid. I would fall, and I didn't understand why. Doctors told me that I was anxious, that I had generalized anxiety disorder, and that I was probably depressed. They also talked about fibromyalgia. They diagnosed me with many disorders, but I wasn't suffering from any of those.
It can take a long time before someone is properly diagnosed. It can take up to 6 years. This is because we don't have an accurate test that diagnoses people. Sometimes we think that the symptoms are caused by something else. So the patients often have to see multiple doctors, such as family doctors or neurologists, in order to be diagnosed accurately. We all have antibodies to fight off infections, viruses, and bacteria. And sometimes people with autoimmune diseases will produce antibodies that will attack their own bodies. In the case of stiff person syndrome, the antibodies attack a specific enzyme called glutamic acid decarboxylase. The antibodies will attack this enzyme, which reduces the amount of GABA in the nervous system. This leads to stiff person syndrome. The central nervous system, which means the brain and the spinal cord, constantly sends signals to the nerves and the muscles to prevent them from overexerting themselves. These signals will prevent muscular hyperactivity and muscle contractions. So with stiff person syndrome, the enzymes that lead to the GABA are attacked. When we no longer have GABA, the central nervous system has problems preventing these muscle spasms. So we have more muscle contractions, more stiffness, and more spasms.
When we raise or extend our arm, a group of muscles has to activate while another group relaxes, or else there would be no movement. The agonist and antagonist muscles mustn't contract at the same time. However, this is what happens to people with stiff person syndrome.
Ça m'attriste énormément de devoir vous dire aujourd'hui que je ne serai pas prête à recommencer ma tournée en Europe en février.
We can imagine that Celine's thoracic muscles are becoming more rigid. Yet her career is singing. She has to use her vocal cords and her thoracic muscles to regulate the quantity of air passing through the vocal cords in order to sing a song. When you can no longer do this, when you're no longer able to control your muscles and the quantity of air passing through your vocal cords, it must be very hard to sing for long periods of time like she does.
It's a disorder that takes over your life. Everything becomes stressful. When I leave my home and I hear abrupt sounds or a friend calling out to me, it becomes a stressful moment and I may fall down. You become rigid in an instant. What's unfortunate is you're so stiff that you can't stop yourself from falling. So you fall directly on your back. It's quite traumatizing because you feel yourself falling, but you can't hold on to anything. So after falling multiple times, like I have, I think I've had 8 major falls, one that I was hospitalized for. You become anxious, even though I'm usually not an anxious person, but it's inevitable. So I take a lot of precautions when I leave my house, and I avoid certain situations to not put myself in danger.
This disorder can also affect the brain because it attacks the muscles through the central nervous system. So certain patients suffer from an increased level of anxiety. Some patients are able to go back to work, but most of them are unable to do that, even if their symptoms become manageable. However, they are able to take care of themselves without any problem.
Aussi, je m'entraîne tous les jours avec mon thérapeute en médecine sportive, bravo, pour regagner de la force et de l'endurance pour me permettre de performer à nouveau.
Courageuse. She's brave.
Mais je dois admettre que c'est un combat continuel.
Totalement.
Absolutely. It's like hearing my own thoughts. Our stories are so similar. We go from living an exciting life to a life of isolation. Everything she said is true. She explains the disorder very well. You live a very isolated life. But what helps us the most are the people that know about our illness and still keep in touch to encourage us. That really helps a lot. We feel less isolated. Maybe this disorder will become more well-known, which is a good thing. She will probably have access to different treatments than I've received, which will help us find the right treatment. I'm still worried for her. I send her all my sympathy and admiration for fighting like this.
Coming up.
Celine was in the prime of her career. She was an international mega superstar.
Taking Vegas by storm. Twice.
That made a big impression on this city.
When W5 continues.
When we heard the news that she had come down with the stiff person's condition, my wife and I were just devastated. She had gone through so much, it just didn't seem fair. I'm still praying for a miracle. This is Scandal. She's about 15 years old, and she still thinks she's all puppy. During the 80s, it became apparent that Las Vegas had become stale, that there hadn't been any big buildings, any big casinos built in some time. When I got here, the Mirage had just opened, Venetian had just opened, Mandalay Bay had just opened. It was a golden period. Las Vegas was back and really strong. Everything I dreamed that Las Vegas would be exceeded it. It was the most unbelievable time in Las Vegas history. It was multi-million-dollar nightclubs. A lot of new casinos were built. They were paying extravagant amounts of money to have celebrities come and host an evening at a nightclub. It was happy hunting grounds for me. I got a lot of fun stories. The first inkling that I had that Celine was in Las Vegas, was getting ready to do a big show here, was an assistant manager at, I think it was Whole Foods, called me one day and said, "You're not going to believe who was in last night at about 11 o'clock, pushing her shopping cart around and loading up on groceries." It was Celine Dion. And I ran that story, and it went viral. I think the average housewife really appreciated her. She could have an army of shoppers and that sort of thing, and she goes out like any other housewife and does the shopping. That made a big impression on this city.
Celine Dion, creating a residency in Las Vegas in 2003 was a real game changer. In the past, or it had been trending that a lot of headliners, it was kind of towards the end of their career or one of the things that they do to cap off their career. And that was great. But Celine was in the prime of her career. She was an international mega superstar that could attract audiences from practically every part of the planet. And that was unique. She and Renee came up with an incredible business plan.
It was a big deal when she held her press conference. I remember meeting reporters from England, from Europe. It was the biggest happening that Las Vegas had seen in a long, long time. It was just an incredible place to be. Celine brought in an international crowd that Las Vegas hadn't seen since the days of Elvis. It was a golden time in Las Vegas, and Celine Dion was the top of the top of the top.
Since 2003, Las Vegas was really starting a new modern-day evolution. We went from gaming being the top revenue generator along the Strip to diversifying. In addition to Celine announcing her show, it was the construction of the Coliseum Theater that was huge in the community. I mean, it's a huge theater, it's state-of-the-art. Her show was quite athletic. The stage was ramped up. I was on that stage once. I could see how athletic she had to be able to sing and run and dance throughout that show. So I think that in addition to the asset of the theater, it also raised the bar on the expectation of what a headliner act could be.
Well, when they started building the Coliseum, I can tell you that every stagehand in town, including myself, wanted to work over there because it was the biggest, newest thing. They had some amazing technology. That video wall they had was state-of-the-art. IATSE 720 represents all the backstage entertainment workers in the industry, be it film, theater, concerts. Every artist will travel with their key individuals, their head lighting guy, their head sound mixer, and then we supply all of the ancillary positions. I would say the amount of stagehands that are working on any given day, we can have 1,000 stagehands. Early 2000s, if you were to drive down the strip, you would see names like Tom Jones, Frank Sinatra, Shecky Greene, your old-time Vegas shows. And when Celine showed up, she's the first pop star, I remember, a pop star from my generation, doing a residency at Caesar's Palace. And it was a big deal because it was a younger crowd. It wasn't the same people that would come all the time to see the same shows.
The direct economic impact of Celine, I mean, just on the shows, nearly $700 million in gross revenue. She brought in, I think it was 2.5 million ticket sales and over the course of 1,200 shows. That's direct. That doesn't calculate into the people that got on a plane, especially to come and have that special moment watching a Celine Dion show. It was the people who eat in restaurants, shopping, all the other ancillary things that they were doing, but what was driving them to Las Vegas was Celine Dion.
She provided the rocket fuel for this city at a really important time when our economy had really crashed.
And beyond her direct economic impact, a lot of female artists that have done residencies since then owe a huge debt of gratitude to Celine and Renee. Artists like Katy Perry, Britney Spears, Jennifer Lopez, Adele, all of them that you've seen come after Celine also have looked at Las Vegas residencies as a way for them to have work-life balance.
I don't know if anyone is going to match her legacy for a long, long time. The 1,100 shows, she really left her imprint on this city.
Used to be that I believed in love. It's been a long time since I've had that feeling. I could love someone. I could trust someone.
I remember the day that I heard that she was sick, and I know that her life has changed completely, and I know that she's got the best care in the world. But there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about her. I've sent her many a message praying for her, and I hope that one day she can get back on stage where she belongs. You know, I was performing in nightclubs here all over Las Vegas, and people were always talking when I was singing. But when I started singing My Heart Will Go On, all of a sudden, people got quiet, and I didn't realize why at the moment. So in about 2005, after I had my baby, I started just trying to sell myself as a Celine tribute artist. And I was so surprised at how fast it picked up. And I always say, it has nothing to do with me. It has to do with how much people love Celine. Her music is not easy. Most all of her music has a 2.5 to 3 octave range, and her notes go anywhere from 4 to 8 measures, you know. So you've got to have good breath. You have to be able to hit those high notes, and trust me, I do vocal exercises 30 minutes a day. It's a hard industry, but you never can stop learning. You have to constantly pay attention. Which side are you holding the mic with? How does she stand? How does she look? How does she speak? How does she do her hair? How does she dance? And I try to be as authentic as I can, and the rest is history.
Welcome back to Clash of the Cover Bands.
I got a phone call to audition for a show called Clash of the Cover Bands, which Jimmy Fallon produced. And it was a show that features all of the tribute artists from around the United States. So I went through a million auditions. I made it all the way to the show. I told everybody around me, there's no way I'm ever going to win. Not because I don't believe in my tribute, not that I don't believe that I've not put so much time and effort into it, but because I've never really won anything like that.
Congratulations, you are tonight's winner of Clash of the Cover Bands. Now,
it's absolutely changed my life. I've had to hire a manager, and I've been asked to go all over the world since then. Unfortunately, and I've never gained any kind of pleasure from this whatsoever, but life is life. And since she's stopped performing, I've been getting a lot of phone calls, and I wish that it was her. It's my hope that I can continue to spread the love of her music while she's getting better. And I hope that she knows that I'm doing the best that I can do and that I love her very much. And I pray for you very much.
Up next, looking for truth as rumors fly.
Why would you invent things about her life?
When W5 continues.
If this is bankruptcy, where do I sign up?
Flaunting eye-watering wealth.
I don't know how he's making the money.
Leaving investors broke.
Fraud alters people's lives.
W5 exposes.
You could face jail time today.
A web of fast money.
The yachts and the boats and the cars.
Victims and insiders.
These people have lost life savings.
Demanding justice. An all-new W5 with Avery Haynes. Next Saturday at 7 on CTV.
I probably saw 10 to 11 Celine shows, and the one that stands out the most was when she came back the first night after Renee had passed, and she sang All by Myself, and you could hear a pin drop in that theater. It was the most dramatic thing I experienced from an entertainer. So many tears fell that night that I swear that it raised the water level of Lake Bellagio. I think there's no question that Celine made Las Vegas cool again. She had a tremendous impact. Las Vegas is a much different town, a much better town as a result of the impact that she made on it.
You know, Celine holds a special place in the hearts of Las Vegans because beyond her residencies and her shows, she was a member of our community. And she embraced Las Vegas. She gave back to Las Vegas. She had a home in Las Vegas. She raised her children in Las Vegas. And this wasn't just a place where she, you know, did a show, but it was a place where she wanted to be a positive impact. And she was.
People were really amazed at how generous she and Renee were. Generous with their lives. Celine would dedicate shows to different charities every month. She would do a special show, and I can't imagine. I mean, it brought in millions. It kept people alive in this city. Her generosity. And I don't think Las Vegas will ever forget that.
For those of us in Las Vegas, we all wish Celine recovery and good health and hope that she's able to overcome this devastating illness. And I'm quite certain if she does and wants to come back with her career, Las Vegas will welcome her back with open arms. We love Celine here.
There's just no question that Celine's presence is missed here, but her spirit is still around. I mean, she really made a difference here. I hope that Celine can pull off one of the great miracles in overcoming this disease, because Las Vegas would really love to have her back.
J'ai à mes côtés une excellente équipe de médecins qui me traitent pour que j'aille mieux. Et ce sont mes enfants qui me donnent le courage et l'espoir de continuer.
In terms of treatment, there are two symptomatic treatments that we frequently use, or rather, two groups. The first group is called benzodiazepines. This group includes medications that are used for anxiety disorders and also act as muscle relaxants. The other group is called baclofen. They are also muscle relaxants, so patients would often take one or the other, or sometimes both, to treat their symptoms. Another way to limit the long-term effects of the illness is to not only treat the symptoms, but also to suppress the immune system. We sometimes give treatments called intravenous immunoglobulin. These are antibodies from hundreds and thousands of people who have donated blood. When they donate blood, we take the red blood cells and the antibodies. We then inject them into patients with autoimmune diseases, like stiff person syndrome. These are long-term treatments. They get infusions every week or two, or even once a month, depending on the severity of the illness. They get these treatments for long periods of time to limit their symptoms. The other option is to suppress the autoimmune system. We give medicine intravenously to suppress the production of B cells and to no longer produce antibodies in order to control or even cure the illness.
Celine's most recent project came out at the beginning of 2023. It's the movie Love Again, and we later found out that her scenes were filmed separately. She was almost never present with the rest of the main cast. I was really interested in the soundtrack because they used old songs like It's All Coming Back to Me Now and That's the Way It Is. But they also used new songs. As a journalist, I asked myself if they're older songs that had never been released before, or were they able to record new songs, or they could have used AI technology like some people have suggested. Did they copy her voice to make the soundtrack to the film?
C'est sûr que la maladie de Céline.
Everyone is worried about Celine's illness. Celine Dion's fan club is called the Redheads. It's an international fan club with followers from all around the world. It has 20,000 active members and 250,000 followers on social media. Celine is like family. We know a lot about her without truly knowing her.
People love her for more than just her music. They love her for who she is inside, for her pure heart, and for being a loving mother, daughter, and wife. She will be forever loved. The public loves her for the right reasons.
It's very unusual to not hear any news from her. She's usually an open book. She's someone that has openly talked about her many struggles and achievements over the years. It's the first time that she hasn't shared any details about her life. We always followed her career very closely because we usually received a lot of news throughout the year. We were able to follow her every move, and now it's quiet. The silence has greatly affected us. We're a community that communicates often. The fan club was created through social media as we exchange information. These past few months, the community has been quite silent. We're just waiting to hear news from her.
The silence will encourage websites to write fake articles in hopes of having more readers. I see lots of articles saying, Celine Dion has shared exclusive details that she didn't want others to know. Come on. But some will believe them.
Why would you invent things about her life when showing respect would be a better way to demonstrate your love? It infuriates me. It enrages me.
It adds to the gossip surrounding her life. There are a lot of rumors about her. So every little detail of her life gets blown out of proportion. We're very surprised by the number of articles published in the media in recent months by journalists, tabloid newspapers, and random people. We're a bit surprised by how much people are talking about her. None of the articles are true unless Celine or her team confirms them. It's almost impossible to know the whole truth. So we can't believe everything that is published in news articles.
When we come back,
People miss you, and people want to hear your music live.
holding out hope for a return to the stage.
I'm so hopeful that this will have a happy ending.
When W5 continues.
If this is bankruptcy, where do I sign up?
Flaunting eye-watering wealth.
I don't know how he's making the money.
Leaving investors broke.
Fraud alters people's lives.
W5 exposes
You could face jail time today.
a web of fast money,
The yachts and the boats and the cars.
victims and insiders,
These people have lost life savings.
demanding justice. An all-new W5 with Avery Haynes. Next Saturday at 7 on CTV.
As we were editing the documentary, Celine made a few discreet public appearances in Las Vegas. This gives hope to her fans and the music industry that her silence for the past year will only be a minor setback.
I think Celine wants to come back. I think she really misses singing on stage. She absolutely loves what she does. She spent her life pushing the limits of her capabilities. So I believe that if she can come back, she will. No one is happy about this situation. Everyone is disappointed by Celine's absence in their daily lives. Unlike Whitney Houston and George Michael, she is able to make a comeback. She is still alive and has a lot of willpower. She has incredible discipline that is unmatched by others. So I think that she will do anything to sing again. But who knows what will happen? We wholeheartedly wish for her to come back.
It would be incredibly sad if her career ended like this. Realistically, no one is expecting a mind-blowing comeback with a world tour and hundreds of concerts. People's expectations aren't very high. We're just waiting for news about her health. That's the most important part. If she's able to continue on with her passion, we'll be there to support her.
People miss you, and people want to hear your music live. So that is simply all that I'm doing. I'm just keeping you going until you get back on that stage and you rock it out again. And I know you're going to come back out soon.
I have hope. I'm proud to be her godmother. I love and admire her.
She is deeply missed, and I'm so hopeful that this will have a happy ending.
There will be an immense void if Celine doesn't come back on stage. We hope that this story will have a happy ending. It's a fairy tale that began with a young 14-year-old girl who started singing and never stopped achieving great things. She made us believe that we could reach unattainable dreams, like singing at the Oscars, having 2 residencies in Las Vegas, and having multiple hit songs in English at the Billboard Music Awards. Just for these reasons, Celine has to come back.
My only wish is for her to perform one last time, because her career can't end this way.
I really hope for our sake that Celine goes back on stage to end her career gracefully and with great success.
Celine Dion's sister Claudette told the Quebec magazine 7 Jours that in their dreams, Celine will return to the stage, but that the singer does not have control over her muscles, including her vocal cords.
Shania Twain, back from her self-exile on the road to what some believe will be the biggest comeback in music history.
In 2012, Shania told W5's Beverly Thompson how she was getting back in shape to hit the Vegas Strip alongside another Canadian legend.
What does Shania Twain listen to?
Well, I listen to Celine Dion. Celine's part of my workout, my vocal workout. She's just such an incredible voice that I learn from her every time I listen to her. So she was really at the inception of the concept of the resident artist here in Vegas. While I was off mothering and cooking and taking my sabbatical, she was, she was making all of this happen here in Vegas. So I'm proud of her, alone, on her own, as an individual, of doing what she did here.
You can watch that entire documentary, as well as all of our new investigations, on W5's official YouTube channel. I'm Avery Haynes. On behalf of everyone here at W5, thanks for watching. See you next time.